Happy Friday, friends. We have a weekend coming up right before we hit Holy Week. And as we finish our little time about restoration and we think about these things, I want to think a little bit about legacy. Now, gardens have legacies. If you've ever planted in the same spots, you'll find out if you don't do some amending to the soil, eventually they quit producing as they once did. But there are those certain spots in the garden that remember, I think, where the sun is. And you know the spots, if you've got a garden, where things grow best. Obviously, you plant something big and tall, it's going to block out the little things. But you probably have those very special spots in a garden, or you've seen them, that they just grow great. They grow well, they grow full. There's a legacy to them. Now, when we think of legacy, we think of how will my name or who we are be carried on after we go. And while I think that kind of legacy in giving is wonderful and important, I want you to think with me for a second about spiritual legacy. Not so much on what you gave, but who you were and how you inspired. Now, the reality is most of you are going to say, well, I don't have one of those. And I'm going to read something to you, and I'll share a little something with you. This comes from the book of Joshua. The Israelites have just crossed over into the Holy Land. Moses, who had led them, does not make it. And they come to this passage, and it reads, "The people came out of the Jordan on the 10th day of the first month, and they camped in Gilead, in the border of Jericho. Those 12 stones which they had taken out of Jordan, Joshua set up in Gilead, saying to the Israelites, 'When your children ask their parents in time to come, what do these stones mean? Then you shall let your children know, Israel crossed over the Jordan here on dry ground. For the Lord your God dried up the waters of the Jordan for you until you crossed over, as the Lord your God did in the Red Sea, which he dried up for us until we crossed over, so that all the peoples of the earth may know the hand of the Lord is mighty, and that you may fear the Lord, or be in awe of the Lord your God forever.'" Joshua sets up these stones for the people to remember. We have items in our homes, in our church, that are pieces of memory, little things that have been donated in memory of people. Reminders of great blessings that we celebrate someone's life or new life. But we all carry a spiritual legacy. Now, it's probably easiest to think in terms of people like me, the pastor of your church, and you think of some specific memory about faith, right? Because that's the job. But there are those things that people do around all the time in church and at home that carry that same spiritual legacy that you might not even remember or know, but may be remembered about you. I know there are folks who did certain things in this congregation who have passed on that you think about. There are people left and right leaving their spiritual legacy upon us all. So I'm going to pick two, and so I don't play favorites, I'm not going to pick anyone that you know. I had two amazing godparents, Mary Louise, where Hannah gets her middle name from, and my godfather Arlo, who was a Lutheran pastor. And the two of them did things very differently. They took care of me in ways that I don't think either of them ever realized in their lives. I got reminders of my faith and encouragements and things like this. And while that was all important and helpful to me as the godchild of these two wonderful people, what was more important was to know who they were and how they carried themselves in their life. My godfather Arlo was an amazing, amazing human being who took care of people that other people said didn't deserve care. And he dedicated his life in so many ways to caring for those forgotten people as a pastor. My godmother, Mary Louise, was one of those people, who are super kind to everyone. Amazing. And she carried that and was giving of herself to anyone who needed it. Were they perfect people? By no means. But the legacy they leave through me, through my little sister, who also had them as godparents, is one of remembering those who are forgotten and being kind, even when you don't want to. I wonder for you what kind of spiritual legacy you're leaving for others. What is it that people will look at when you're long gone from this place and remember fondly? Could it be these things, these intangible things about you? The way you carry yourself, the way you interact with people, the way you reach out and hold on to others. I think as we think about restoration, we don't get there on our own. We stand on the shoulder of giants and we look to a future because of the past. I encourage you to not only think about what your legacy may be, spiritually speaking, but others that have gone before you who have offered these amazing gifts to you, where you think of them, you think kindness, you think compassion, love, grace, and forgiveness. I hope over this weekend you'll keep some memories of some of these folks and the legacies they have left behind for you, both in the church and in life beyond the walls of this building. I hope you can find joy in their memory and restoration in the legacy that they have left that encourages you to follow the path laid out by Christ before us. Have a fantastic weekend. We'll see you soon. Bye.
And he walks with me and he talks with me and he tells me I am his own, and the joy we share as we tell